Lloyd Kaufmann created Troma Entertainment in 1974 with Michael Hertz with an objective of making low-budget B-movies as well as doing distribution of off-the-radar independent films. Troma's first hit, which left an enduring cultural zeitgeist, was 1984's The Toxic Avenger, which delved into ultra-violence by a disfigured mutant vigilante, killing gangsters and criminals with his superhuman strength. Kaufmann and Hertz would go on to make a couple of sequels in 1989, although it was said that both films were from extensive filmed materials, which of course failed to measure up to the original movie. The abrasive nature of The Toxic Avenger, which certainly was not ready to go through the censorship board, which effectively garnered its cult following, but not a movie that would be known by the general public and certainly not targeted to young children. This was why it raised a lot of eyebrows when Toxie emerged as a character in the Saturday morning cartoon series as the leader of the Toxic Crusaders in 1991. Hot on the heels of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, another ultra-violent property that was not skewed towards the younger audience, but made a successful transition to the mainstream that lasts until these days. The Toxic Crusaders cartoon series was short-lived, and I wondered if the toys sold well. With Lloyd Kaufmann and Troma Entertainment attaining such a cult status in the independent filmmaking over the years, with their tagline on the 50th anniversary being 50 years of disrupting media, there had been a constant talk to rejuvenate the Toxic Avenger IP with an updated film. In the late 2010s, Legendary Pictures won the rights to reboot the Toxic Avenger, and after a few iterations of which screenwriter and director would be chosen for the role to resurrect Toxie from the biohazard goo, it was character actor, screenwriter and director Maron Blair who, under strong recommendation for Kaufmann himself, who got the nod. Maron Blair was part of the cast of the new Nazi horror feature Green Room with Patrick Stewart and directed I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, which was a surprise streaming hit on Netflix, would give the story of an out-of-luck janitor turning into a mutant vigilante a modern twist. In the prologue, JJ, who was part of a whistleblowing investigative team, had gathered evidence that pharmaceutical company BTH had been generating and dumping biohazard waste and worked with mafia, was being hunted down by a hitman squad on BTH payroll and witnessed the murder of her mentor. Meanwhile, Winston, this rendition of Melvin the janitor, was struggling to establish a stable relationship with his stepson Wade after the passing of his partner. The kinship was threadbare at best, and it was compounded when Wade was at the front seat of Winston's cowardice. As if life had not given Winston enough lemon, he was at the brink of a life-threatening illness, and when the company's health plan insurance rejected his cry for help, he went to the head honcho, the CEO of the company's BTH, Bob Garbinger, which of course swatted him like one of the many flies that bothered him on a daily basis. This led to desperate measures from Winston and his eventual metamorphosis into the titular Toxic Avenger, and him crossing paths with JJ as the duo were like animals that were forced into the corner, struggling to fight back the evil forces. I had not watched Kaufmann's 1974 original movie, but it was blatant being a body horror and gore extravaganza wrapped in a revenge feature where fans drew a lot of satisfaction in seeing a cavalcade of unredeeming antagonists being rightfully mutilated by Toxie, while the theme of evil corporations and their flagrant disposal of biohazard waste, which was something dated from the 1990s, before people's consciousness of saving the environment became heightened. This plot felt suitable for Toxic Avenger, and when you have Kevin Bacon in the role of Garbinger, I suppose a portmanteau of garbage and harbinger, in his moustache-twisting best as a villain, I'm bought into the vigilante against the evil corporation like it was 1989. The commentary of a cruel corporate world, like how an insurance plan with plenty of unwritten terms and conditions that will drive any person insane, was something anyone could empathize with, and the unscrupulous way property companies engage to force people to sell their properties made my blood boil. The plot and execution of the movie itself felt like one from a yesteryear, with colourful rogue gallery for Winston to weed out one by one. It certainly feels like a less serious version of The Crow, and the same ballpark as Jim Carrey's comedy Mask, and with the motivation from Garbinger, witnessing the power Winston had harnessed after ingesting the sludge, had wanted to draw the essence and proceed with his own transformation. It also felt like a plot from Swamp Thing. All these movies were based from comic series with a dark and violent connotation to begin with. With Garbinger on top of the food chain, although cowering in fear of a mafia boss who was like a ticking time bomb, he was flanked by his assistant cum lover, as well as a hideous looking brother Fritz, played by Elijah Wood, who channeled his best rendition of Danny DeVito's version of the Penguin from Tim Burton's Batman Returns. Fritz would engage the service of his motley crew of killers known as the Killer Nuts, who were an uncouth rap metal band with very little musical talent. The lead vocals and leader of the gang felt like a Juggalo reject from Insane Clown Posse and was a cold-hearted killer who would kill for fun, and his gang was no less scary. The maelstrom of exasperating villainy made one yearn for the most unimaginable viscera unleashed on these characters, and in some manner Blair did not disappoint, with Winston's mob doused in the hazardous sludge becoming a weapon that caused incredible amount of body mangling and mutilation whoever it touched upon. Megan Blair's decision to go unrated for the streaming release of the movie would be the best presentation of it. Peter Dinklage took on the role of Winston and played a sympathetic character effectively. As if there was not enough pain etched on Dinklage's face to begin with, the harrowing obstacles he encountered reinforced his motivation to fight back against the system. Luisa Guerrero was the actor in the bodysuit of Toxie, with Dinklage providing the voice, very much like how they did it for the personification of Megan. Guerrero perhaps provide a bit more agility as Toxie in the action scenes. Jacob Tremblay could be this generation Elijah Wood, his co-star in this movie, a skilled child actor where many movies will go for, and as Wade, he was a crucial character used as a collateral for the bad guys and drove Winston to do what he did in most situations. This might not be Tremblay's most celebrated performance, but I never did care for his award-winning performances, so what he did as Wade was right up my alley. Taylor Page played JJ, Winston's partner in crime, could be served as a sidekick or an unconventional love interest. JJ facilitated some plot lines and gave Toxie a more well-rounded character building. You may call it stunt casting, but being able to recruit the likes of Bacon and Wood in the stellar cast, it was still a coup for Megan Blair to bring in these actors who seems to share his vision and gave their best in these colourful roles. The design of Toxie was always going to be very amateur and synthetic, so I guess the suit that the filmmakers conjured up was the best possible version with practical makeup. It was the mutated form of Garbinger that drew the interest in me, and it felt like Kevin Bacon was having fun in it. The gore, combining with a bit of levity, worked, and there were enough Easter eggs for fans of the franchise to chew upon. All this gave the reboot its credence. I was not entirely sure that this was a movie for many horror fans, but it was an easy watch. Blair should reduce the number of characters though. It felt a bit too many for a movie no longer than 110 minutes. This reboot version of the Toxic Avenger is a 7 out of 10 for me. Are you a fan of the Toxic Avenger franchise or an aficionado for Troma films? How do you feel about my review of this movie? Please leave a comment below, and if you like what you see, please subscribe to this channel. Toxie would not be out of place for Halloween Trick or Treat. Maybe his presence would lead up a listless VHS Halloween, which I had reviewed previously. After researching for this movie and looking at old Toxic Crusader toys from the early 1990s, now I want a couple of action figures from that Playmate line badly.